President. Well, I would like to say hello to everyone who is listening, and you will see how transparent AEBR is, that we are discussing some strategic issues in front of the whole audience, and we don't care. So this is the way it should be. Well, it's 9:04. We have 63 participants, so I think it's the time to start. The last session, well, the last day of our annual conference. Today, we are devoting this to the future of AEBR, but the participants, the speaker, there is only one speaker from AEBR, which is Cinzia, working, coordinating our projects office in Berlin. And that was the point. We want to discuss the future of AEBR today in our session with our project partners. And then in the second session with a series of institutional partners, where we have the two main fields of work. The issue projects, which is the one we are tackling today, has been a little bit controversial for our association. We are a very small association in terms of staff, very big in terms of membership and wishes. And some times ago, during the last crisis, 2009, 10, 11, we lost a lot of members. They could not pay, and then the association was under big risk. And we decided to explore the possibility to do some projects. We started with projects in Latin America at that time, where there was a great demand about the experience on cross-border cooperation. And today we are quite happy with the result there, even if some of our members are a little bit worried that we took so much time for that. I have to say that we have a special unit working on this, the AEBR Global Initiative, which is based in Brussels. And you will listen to Chema, who will explain a little bit more what they are doing. Then we have, after that, some 3 years ago, we started a new phase in AEBR where we designed and then started to implement the Interreg Volunteer Youth, a program to involve young people in Interreg. You will know more later. And shortly after that, as a result of the communication on boosting border regions by the Commission, one of the measures which was there was the B solutions, what we call B solutions, which is identifying legal and administrative obstacles for cross-border cooperation, also on behalf of DG Regio. And this has been implemented in the last almost 3 years with 3 calls, where we have identified 43 cases in the first 2 calls, and now we are in the management of the 3rd call. This is, from our point of view, one of the most interesting projects we have ever implemented, because we are going directly to the heart of cross-border cooperation, which is where you cannot cooperate, why, and if there is a legal or administrative obstacles, there are options to solve it. There are many options. We hope to have one more, the European cross-border mechanism, in the next future, but this is another story. Today we are going to talk about the projects. We have with us, as I said before, Cinzia Dellagiacoma, who is the coordinator of our team in Berlin. We have also Ricardo Ferreira. He's working at the border focal point, and he has been following very closely these solutions, but also other things. With Ricardo, we have been able to, it's the same that happens with the other members in the border focal point, like Nathalie Verschelde or Luis Roman or Dirk Peters, where we can discuss almost everything. But this happens with anyone. It's not only AEBR. I can imagine that most of the participants today who are not AEBRians or not yet, you also had the chance to discuss with these colleagues. They are really very near, and then you can discuss almost everything with them. Today we will have here Ricardo Ferreira. Then Io Chatzivaryti, she's working at the Chambers of Commerce in Drama, the heart of the Euroregion Nestos-Mesta. What can I say from this organization? We have organized, I lost the account of how many activities we have organized in Drama, Kavala, and the area. The last one, the Youth Forum this summer, which was the number 4, I think, that is organized there, but this was online. we have done executive committee meetings, 2 general assemblies. We cannot forget Alkis Papadimitriou, very, very good old friend of all of us. But also in the last times, Stefanos Georgiades, the president of the chamber, who is one of the most active members and the most active in Greece. EO has been also helping us very much in the different issues. And last but then we will have also Pablo Rivera. He's the director of the EGTC Chaves Berín between Galicia, Spain, and the north of Portugal. A very interesting urban, rural, cross-border structure in a very challenging area, but they have managed to be a hot spot for cross-border cooperation in Europe with a lot of prizes in the last years. A great case, I would say. And last but not least, José María Chema Cruz from Brussels will tell us a bit about our projects outside the EU. So with all of this, we want to show that it's possible to have an organization based on the lobby and exchanges with the institutions, but also doing projects which activates a lot of members, possible members, partners, stakeholders. In the case of IB Young People, more than 500, far more have been deployed despite of the difficulties in the last month. You will know more from Cinzia. So, well, I hope that you will enjoy the different testimonies and explanations about the projects. The chat is already on. I can see there are some people already writing. There was a question. In principle, those of you with a presentation, you can share it by yourself. Anyway, if we have the presentation here, we can also activate in case of problems, but there were no problems at all on this yesterday. So if you have a good connection, and we too, there should be no problem. Anyway, if anyone has any difficulty, please contact us or the technicians. You have them also in the list of participants, where you can click and see all of them. So again, thank you very much to all the participants who are again with us after 2 days of hard work. A special thank you to the speakers. Without you, it would be impossible to organize this type of things. I'm really proud of such a high quality of participants, in both sides of the screens. So if I will follow the order which is established in the program that we have shared with you, and I hope you will enjoy. So I will give the floor now to my colleague, Cinzia Dellagiacoma, who will speak from our project office in Berlin. Cinzia, the floor is yours. And
okay, good morning. I think you're supposed to see my screen and to hear me, I suppose.
We do. You hear you very well. We see the screen.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Cinzia. I'm sorry, there's noise in Berlin. Exactly. I'm working at the project office of ABR since 2017 now. Together with David, Andreas, and Julia, with whom you might have been in contact as well in the last years. And I'm very happy to bring our perspective, or my perspective today, on ABR as a project-based organization. So let's see if I'm able to change the, okay, so there's the usual problem, that's perfect. Okay, so what I would like to start from is the statutes of ABR, in which we can read that the utmost objective of ABR, it's the promotion of cross-border cooperation, as simple as that. So the question is ABR now that is more and more a project-based organization still fulfilling its priority, which is in fact to promote cross-border cooperation, or are the project in the way? Like, are the project not allowing ABR to focus on this very first priority of ABR? Well, let's give a more detailed look into the main two projects that we are dealing with here at the project office with my colleagues. We have Interreg Volunteer Youth since March 2017. This is an action, it used to be a pilot action, now hopefully is less and less a pilot action, but more and more a consolidated action project started in March 2017, promoted by the Regio and managed by ABR. The aim is to promote Interreg and the visibility and the knowledge of Interreg, the awareness of Interreg among population, among local citizens, thanks to the involvement of volunteers, of young people between 8 and 30 years of age, who can be deployed in projects, in Interreg and programs for a period of 2 to 6 months. We have had 530 volunteers so far, which means we have had 500, sorry, this, I guess it's very early this morning for me. We had 530 volunteers, people that have been learning what Interreg is, what Interreg does. We have had many young people that, thanks to this experience, have learned, who already feel Europeans, but now have learned something new that Europe does, a new aspect that they all have appreciated according to the feedback that we have received so far. So for them, for most of the volunteers, they are very much interested and appreciated very much seeing what territorial cooperation is, which they didn't know before, even though they already felt European, even if they had already a good knowledge of being European. But they had learned about this added value of cross-border cooperation, which is not something that we always know, in fact, even as European citizens, as European experts as well, unfortunately. And also we have to remember that having 530 volunteers means that there are their families, their friends, their acquaintances as well around them. So the numbers to be considered is actually higher of people that, thanks to IVY, we've been making aware of territorial cooperation in Europe. We also have to remember that thanks to IVY, we have reached 41 Interreg programs, which is actually not what we would like. We would like to have over 90 programs, so we're still working on this. And for this, we hope to have more and more the involvement of all the programs. And we have had 165 projects, Interreg projects, that have been involving volunteers in order to get support from them. So this is the one side of the participants to IVY, but then we have also the action of IVY. What is actually IVY about? IVY is about strengthening the communication of Interreg, of cooperation in Europe. And this is possible because the volunteers are actually not only in the programs in order to make an experience, but they're actually helping the programs in communicating in new ways. They're often taking care of social media, newsletters, the website, for example, or other communication actions, which are very important to make Interreg better known. We also have a lot of other communication activities thanks to IVY, as AEBR has been able to strengthen very strongly the communication with the Regio and with other institutions and important stakeholders thanks to IVY. In the very first place, with the communication unit, for example, and with the Interreg unit of the Regio, with which we have been organizing many events where the IVYs are always invited to participate. With Interact, we have been publishing some publications in which volunteers have been talking about the projects they've been involved in. Then, since time goes quicker than we would like, let's switch now to B-Solutions. If there are questions on the project, of course, I'm happy to, on IVY, for example, I'm happy to discuss it later. B-Solution. B-Solution is a pilot initiative that asked in the very first place stakeholders, European stakeholders, to inform us, said very plainly, to inform us about legal and administrative obstacles to cross-border cooperation in their border areas. I think this is a very, very important project because it listens to the stakeholders of cross-border cooperation to help them to overcome obstacles and improve cooperation in their daily basis in their regions. So this has been a very important effort that we made since 2018. We had pilot actions through which the stakeholders have been implementing an action in order to find solutions themselves to the obstacles they had identified. And then we had a second call for proposals in which we have had stakeholders simply had to inform us about a project, and they will and they have received advice from a legal expert. So in this case, we have seen a real collaboration between the EU, because also this project has been promoted by Regio, and I suppose that in fact Ricardo is going to go a bit more in detail of the project. And the practitioners. So this has been a project that has been probably very innovative in terms of the communication, in terms of the involvement of the actors who participated. This solution is also a great initiative in order to keep ABR at the front of latest research, of later trends in European affairs and cross-border cooperation, and to keep us involved in the most relevant issues. It also has helped ABR to connect and reach out to many more stakeholders, because ABR has about 100 members with associated members, for example. Thanks to the solution and to Ivy, we are reaching out to all the stakeholders in border regions in Europe on an almost daily basis. It helps us to connect, to reach out, to exchange information, very important information with new stakeholders. And also, for example, the solution has also been an experiment that for those people that have been able to participate in the solution, it'll be easier to implement Interreg 2021-27, as we have seen how more relevant is becoming the question of legal obstacles in cross-border cooperation. So my question is, I would like here now, then maybe hopefully also to have a little discussion later on. My question of before, is ABR actually fulfilling its objective of promoting cross-border cooperation with this project? I definitely think so, and I clearly think that all our projects have been actually strengthening ABR as much as never before, maybe. And I hope that we'll be able to, in fact, keep on growing in this direction, thanks to also the very strong cooperation with the Commission and with all the stakeholders that we are getting to know. And in fact, it has been very rewarding also in these last 2 days to see many of the participants of the project following us, being some Ivy volunteers who are very passionate about cross-border cooperation thanks to experience and are now following us, or also some participants in the solutions that have been interested in following ABR's activities beyond the project as well. So this was from me. I pass the word to Martin and then Ricardo, and if there are any questions, I'll be here to reply them.
Thank you very much, Cinzia, and especially thank you for answering the main question. Of course, it's not a big surprise that you or me, we think that, but I hope that also some of our members really today can understand the deepness of some of the projects we are implementing now, especially both B-Solutions and Ivy. As you said, in the one hand, we have approached the young people that was not, we were only doing minor actions in this regard. Now it's a systematic one in all programs. And B-Solutions goes to the heart of our core business, but also at the same time it goes to the heart of the EU, because what we are doing is trying to facilitate this integration at the grassroots level. I cannot imagine a better contribution from the border regions to the European integration. But still, there will be someone who perhaps don't share, don't understand. This is normal, and it would be great to receive this type of comments, because then we can do our work much better. Let's see. Thank you very much for your contribution. And now, yes, we pass the floor to Ricardo Ferreira. I already presented him, and I think most people here knows him because he's also very active on different activities related to cross-border cooperation. So, Ricardo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Martín. I'm starting by sharing my screen, which is this one. Are you receiving it?
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. Let me just check I have everything. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So thank you. Good morning, everyone. As Martin says, I'm Ricardo Ferreira. I work in the European Commission, DG Regio, coordinating what we call the border focal point team. For me, it is a bit strange to be in this panel, although it is a pleasure for me to contribute to AEBR Annual Assembly. AEBR is naturally, it's one of our natural partners because we are working for border regions, and AEBR is border regions, is the association representing border regions all throughout Europe. But you are discussing one internal, you are promoting one internal debate on how should AEBR position itself, in which I should not participate directly, so I should influence them as minimum as possible. So I will be focusing on the explaining from the political side what is our needs for knowledge, because that influences somehow the project, and I will talk a bit about the B-Solutions, the B-Solutions project. So what do we do at the border focal point? What do we do at the Commission here on the Interreg unit? Needless for me to present you Interreg. You all know Interreg very well. You all know Interreg, its successes, that it is being for 30 years now providing the necessary funding for cross-border interactions, for cross-border cooperation. But it has also been one source of triggering cooperation. In many cases, we have seen that it was because there was the funding possibility provided by Interreg that some flows of cooperation have emerged, some flows of cooperation were unblocked, were unleashed. But it has always also been showing something that sometimes it felt awkward. It was the issue that the more we cooperate, the more we see that there are obstacles. The more we intervene with our neighbors, the more we see those tiny little differences that we have, and we were not capable to deal, we were not fully aware of it. So after a while of experience of Interreg, things have evolved, and several documents, several policy momentum, those identified here below, namely the communication of 2017, the barometer of this year, the survey that we have just closed one month ago, have shown this element. Funding is important, but it's not all. We need to go beyond funding. We need to provide support beyond funding. And what we have been doing with this border focal point team is precisely trying to put the resources on the table to give some support beyond funding. And what is this support? It's several different elements. The legal tools that Dirk will be presenting on EGTCs and DCBM are one example. Political support is one example. But I will be focusing mainly on technical support. And this technical support assumes several facets. It is groups of studies, it is projects, it is sharing, finding solutions for sharing. So we can divide this technical support as being these three elements. On the one side, promoting knowledge production. On the second side, piloting cases and demonstrating the possibility of solving border obstacles. On the third side, sharing knowledge. Because although different borders have different context and it's not the same what happens in one and what happens in the other, although that is true, it is also true that some of the experiences on one side, on one border, can be very useful for borders very, very far away. And sometimes these problems, these obstacles have common characteristics that can benefit one and the other. So if we go, so we need to produce knowledge. We need to produce knowledge, we need to be capable to demonstrate, and we need to be capable to share. But we are a political organization. We don't have the research capacity. There are many different things that we are not meant to be skilled to produce. So what do we need to produce this knowledge, this demonstration, this sharing capacity? From a theoretical perspective, we see that there are several elements that are needed to be capable to deliver this, to provide this knowledge. One needs research capacities. One needs to have research teams. One needs to have research skills. One needs to have funding that we can provide. Research skills, we can give a tiny little help, but not a thorough help. And then we need to have the knowledge of the territory, the knowledge of the problems, to be in the right context. So for this, we need to be capable to reach out to regions, as well as we need to be capable of understanding cross-border governance, because the facets, the problems are very specific on cross-border governance. But at the same time that we need to be capable to go locally and understand the specific context of a cross-border region, we also need to be capable to have a pan-EU coverage. We also need to be capable to understand the differences across the EU and how the different problems are represented in the different places. But then to produce knowledge, we need some extra elements. We need to have consortia potential. We need to be capable to have teams that connect to other teams, each of them bringing in their core business, their core competencies to the whole research process. And obviously, like we need to have research skills and research teams, we also need to have data sources, data skills, the capacity to produce and to fetch the data from where it is, from where it needs to be. Therefore, the links for understanding cross-border and understanding governance is also essential, because this links to this. One needs links to the other. So we need to have knowledge, we need to have demonstration, we need to have sharing. For political, this is our needs. And to have all this, we need to have these sets of skills, these resources, these inputs to the process. Now, where can we find this? So if we go a little beyond and we try to reduce our scheme, it's the same scheme that you are seeing, just a little zoomed out. Who are the potential actors to provide this? And we start seeing different categories of potential actors. Clearly, academia and research institutions can provide research skills, can provide data sources and skills. Clearly, EGTCs or other cross-border structures can provide the understanding of governance, can provide the understanding of the local context and the cross-border phenomena, but also cross-border organizations, cross-border cooperation organizations can provide to reach out to regions and can provide the pan-EU coverage. This is clearly where AEBR is included. Not only this, there are professional consultancies that also bring one element, that also have skills that are capable to contribute. And one important element that should not be forgotten, and frequently is the capacity of local groups, what we call the crowd. the capacity to produce data, to produce information on how are the interactions, how are the obstacles, and we need to be capable to listen to the local groups, not only to the administration, but to the local groups, to the crowd, to the people, to the individuals in different forms, because this also provides us an important source of data. What do I want with this is just demonstrating one element. There is a need for knowledge. There is a need, sorry, I have someone calling me. There is a clear need for knowledge, and this knowledge can be produced by a panoply of entities, preferentially working together. Different actors have different skills, they have different capacities, and there is clear potential. So now I'm going just to illustrate a bit what can be done with a project, and I'll talk about B-Solutions. B-Solutions is quite a very interesting project. What has been achieved is that we have been capable to go local. I say this is a case of demonstrating, because from a pan-European perspective, what we are doing is that we are demonstrating that obstacles can be addressed if we sit at the same table, the right people from both sides of a border. Obstacles can be addressed. It's not just an issue of funding, it's an issue of sitting people at the right side, frequently finding the right balances. And through trying to contribute to find solutions for a group of obstacles, we are precisely demonstrating and incentivizing others to implement similar solutions or related solutions, related process. How does it work? We have, from the Commission, we have a grant agreement with AEBR. The entire scheme could be seen as something like shared management. We have a grant agreement with AEBR, and via this grant agreement, AEBR establishes service contracts with experts, external experts. They are not the applicants, they are not regions, they are external experts who are selected by their skills, by their legal skills, by their understanding of cross-border, by their language skills, obviously, because they need to be contextualized. And then we send these experts are sent to provide support to the cross-border region or to the applicant. So each region has proposed one obstacle to AEBR. Each region has applied by saying we have this obstacle that needs to be solved. We don't know exactly the details. We need to find the details out and to find a solution. And has responded to a call to AEBR, a very simple process call, just a mere description of the obstacle. And then AEBR establishes a service contract with the expert, and the expert provides the support to the cross-border region. What is that support? It's quite simple. It's quite simple, but it is so essential. It's one of those elements that needs to be cleared, otherwise nothing else works. It's the identifying the root causes of an obstacle. We understand that on this region, people are not allowed to move in this condition. People are not allowed to access that public service on the other side. People are hampered because they have doubled red tape to be capable to do something on the other side of the border. But why? Everyone understands the existence of the problem, but frequently what we see is that the legal obstacle is not identified. What is the precise element of the law on both sides that is hampering that interaction? If we do not identify this, we do not identify a solution. So these experts provides, you are not seeing brightness control, are you? Sorry. These experts provides a possible solution, a guide for a possible solution, defines what could be done. It could be done via an amendment of the law. It could be done via a bilateral agreement. It could be done via establishing an EGTC to manage a specific case. We have a panoply of different solutions. And then it allows this cross-border region, the applicant, to provide the solution, to work for the future, to provide the solution. if this is quite important for the applicant because it got a legal assessment of its case and it got a way forward to solve its solution, it's also quite important from the whole pan-European perspective, because if we look at this from a whole perspective, from the pan-European perspective, we see that we are providing knowledge on obstacles. We are demonstrating that obstacles can be solved. By solving some, we are demonstrating that they can be solved and leading, for example, Interreg programs to implement similar stuff, to address cross-border obstacles in different ways. What are the lessons learned? I will not go thoroughly through this. We don't have time for this, but I invite you to read this compendium. This compendium of cases that was published by AEBR with our contribution. It's available at the European the Publications Office. It's a formal publication of the European Commission. There's in paper, there's in PDF version. It will be permanently available. I'm not going in detail through this, just demonstrating that the knowledge that this project has produced is quite thorough, and it has a political influence. We are now looking forward how to better shape our contribution beyond funding for the coming years, and certainly these lessons will contribute to shape what will be our policy on cross-border obstacles. So we find here solutions, lessons learned on obstacles, and we find here lessons learned on solutions. This demonstrates, for example, the potential of EGTCs and the potential of ECBM as tools to solve those solutions. This demonstrates the process, the importance of multi-level engagement in getting local political commitment, which are essential. Okay, but this is the lessons learned on obstacles, on how to solve a case, how an obstacle can be addressed. But we also have a few lessons learned on the initiative, on the process, on our relation with AEBR in this process, in this grant agreement. And we have identified a few key success factors. And this is important for your reflection, for the reflection that you are doing on should it be more project-oriented or not. It's your call. It was a key success factor for these B solutions, the fact that it was possible to bring a pan-European reach out to regions. We would not be capable to have done that. It's important to have a key success factor is a quite varied pool of experts with diverse thematic skills, with diverse language skills. Because we have some problems were identified on so difficult things like support to use, like data production, like data on groundwater management, on waste of resources or from the specific electronic waste. So diverse employment, mobility, so diverse set of obstacles that you all find in your regions implies necessarily a diverse thematic skills of the experts. This is one of the challenges, one of the difficulties. There are a few challenges, obviously, that we are identifying on how to best improve the initiative and how to best implement this type of initiatives. One of our challenges is clearly the reach out to local stakeholders. We feel that many times the capacity to identify an obstacle, to clearly document it, it's not at regional level, sometimes it is at local level. And the capacity to reach out from Brussels in Berlin to the entire local stakeholders, going beyond the regional level, it's a huge challenge. Attracting participants from the whole European Union is also a challenge. Different parts of Europe see this process differently. They have different appetites to participate in this. And clearly one of the challenges of the process was the capacity to structure information and communicating on outcomes. It was quite difficult, and some of you that were closer to the process saw that the compendium took a bit long to produce. It's a challenge. It's finding, this illustrates the need to identify the right set of skills, the right core business of each participant in the process, and attribute the different core skills to the different parts. So, as I'm already spoken too much, as always, sorry. In conclusion, I would give you 2 or 3 ideas. That's what I think is relevant. There is a clear need for knowledge. There is a clear need for demonstration. There's a clear need for sharing on cross-border phenomena. And this is something that we cannot do alone. It's something that we will always be looking for partners to cooperate with. And there is a diversity of actors that can contribute. It's not just one actor, it's a diversity of actors with different skills, with different sets of skills. And because there is this diversity, it's essential to build cooperation amongst all the different sets of actors. It's not one actor alone, it should be each actor bringing its own core skill, its own core business. And finally, for all the participants, I know that many border regions are represented here. Be aware, we will be launching a first call for these solutions in a few months. Very soon, there will be a first call. Be prepared, start looking for projects. It's for obstacles. It's quite easy to apply. It's quite interesting. Thank you. I think this is all.
Thank you very much, Ricardo.
Now,
Was a very, I think, very interesting explanation of how B-Solutions is running. We have shared in the chat the link to download the compendium. Some partners have already received the paper version. AEBR members are going to receive it in 2 weeks, as Martín Amurin has already informed in the chat. And exactly, we are now warming up the environment to launch the 4th call in the beginning of 2021. You will receive information because we want to make an offensive. This is the last chance to take part in B-Solutions for the time being. And we have the impression that still there are many obstacles that have not been identified. So keep on thinking. As Ricardo said, it's very easy, very, very easy. I would also like to draw the attention that there are other projects like IB, which is also addressed to the programs in the external borders, etc. So we would like to thank the Commission because they have launched a call for proposals for doing a kind of B-Solutions in the pre-accession countries, and we hope that they will do it also for the neighborhood. Let's see. Well, now we will jump into some particular cases. I'm sorry that I cannot give you too much time, but you have 10 minutes each. I hope it's enough for you to explain your experience. First of all, we will give the floor to Chatzivaryti, who is already on the screen. So, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Martin. So now, after this so impressive presentation from Mr. Riviera, which was very informative for me, following for the first time, I just now want to share with you our experience with working with Ivy, what happens to all these projects when they actually get implemented, what's the impact they make in our everyday working life, in our networking with our neighbors. So I want to share my screen and into a very brief presentation, I promise, just showcasing our experience with working with Ivy. So working with the Drama Chamber and the Euroregion Nestos-Mesta in 2 different projects, which is the Social Forces project, Interreg Greece-Bulgaria project on social entrepreneurship, and in Environment EU, the project run by Euroregion Nestos-Mesta on environmental friendly patterns in agriculture. We were very lucky to work with 4 Ivy members so far, meaning 4 out of 530 volunteers in total that the Ivy project had, as Cinzia mentioned, and it was very impressive as a number. And here you can see some of the pictures with our Ivies. And in particular in Environment EU project, we had the honor to work with Katerina Hadjisaroglu, helping us with the project tasks into current status study in agricultural sector and being excellent in administrative support of the kicking off of the project and the communication skills that they see actually deployed in working with the partner SIM and networking with our Bulgarian partners. Her successor was the Mr. Konstantinos Georgiadis, here in the picture next to my slide. That being a computer engineer helped us immensely in working with the new normal into the COVID area, and also in supporting the second AEBR Forum, which was also the first AEBR Forum, Youth AEBR Forum, happened totally digitally. And I think that we found ourselves in the unfortunate position of having a trainee training us instead of ourselves training the IVY member. And in the Social Forces project, we worked, of course, with Evi Politarchi. Many of you had the chance to meet her also, because she also assisted us at the DG Regio event that we hosted in Drama on boosting growth and cohesion in border regions. She also assisted us, of course, in organizing and hosting the first AEBR Youth Forum and many other events during the project meetings of Social Forces. And her successor was Anastasia Drouguti, that she continued the great work that Evi actually did and supported us even more in administrative and secretarial tasks and facilitating also the financial reporting that many cross-border region projects have, which is it's a true and an obstacle also, being such a bureaucratic projects in their implementation needs even further assistance from personnel to support it. And what we learned working with IVY, we learned that knowledge in that young people bring in most of the project reverses the trainer and trainee roles, that the youth adapt really quickly in every kind of work patterns and training modes. They have a great learning pace. Their communication skills and social media skills are very important in impacting the projects and also diffusing and disseminating the project results effectively, which is something that is an indicator for all projects. And this resulted into actually extending 2 of the 4 projects with our IVY members from 4 months to 6 months period working with us, since we consider that 4 months is a very limited period of time in order to conclude a training project in total. And how we were supported from AEBR, we experience an immediate response in every contract preparation and signing when we have IVY requests. We had a very positive feedback and support in extending our contracts. There is a flexibility even during COVID era working with IVY, a smooth collaboration and support in the second IVY Youth Forum that had to be transformed and revised twice since it's actually ended up in becoming totally digital. And support and introduce initiatives and successful monitoring in our IVY projects. So this is my whole presentation. I hope that I gave you an insight on how it is working with IVY. And I'm here to answer any questions on the procedures and our experience in general.
Thank you very much, Efkaristo, Io. I think it was very interesting to have a direct overview on the experience with IVY. And of course, I think everybody in AEBR reminds EV from IVY. I think Evi was extremely great. She was also supporting us in other issues. She was supporting even DG Regio when they organized the presentation of the communication in Drama. And yes, we hope to see her in this business. I think she will not leave us so easily.
Yes, we were lucky enough to work with her, I think.
It is. This is it. And you know, there are other 500 young people, more or less with similar profile, doing the systematic work every day. We haven't profited enough because we don't have the capacity of this amount, but we are now trying that they also organize themselves. We're thinking perhaps on a alumni association, something like that. Let's see. let's see. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank
and
you
now
too.
from the southeast of Europe, we go to the southwest. Yes, we are going to make a jump of almost 3,000 kilometers to see our colleague Pablo Rivera, EGTC Chávez Berín. Pablo, well, he's also taking part in other projects of AEBR, but B Solutions perhaps is the most relevant right now. So Pablo, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Martin. Good morning, everyone. I'm starting for sharing my screen. I think it's okay. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank the AEBR for inviting me to share in this annual conference how the GTC Chávez Berín is boosting cross-border cooperation initiatives in the Spanish-Portuguese border. Also, it's a real pleasure to share all good practice and knowledge with people who work in the field of cross-border cooperation and manage European funds. In the next minutes, I promise I'm going to be very brief. I'm going to talk about the context of the Eurocity Chávez Berín and how the B Solutions has helped to link the neighborhood cities of Chávez in North Portugal and Berín across the border in Spain, fostering deeper territorial cooperation and, of course, social cohesion. First of all, let me introduce you the Eurocity Chávez Berín. As many of you already know, the Eurocity Chávez Berín is located in the northwest center of the Iberian Peninsula, well connected to main cities by rail, road, and air. In fact, the Porto Airport is less than 90 minutes from the Eurocity. Some figures are relevant to explain the territory involved. Both cities together become a Eurocity with a population of almost 60,000 and with an area of 700 square kilometers. We have built our headquarters on the same border in the old Spanish Custom House, a building that in the past was a symbol of separation. Nowadays is a symbol of the Eurocity, the symbol of conciliation, and the symbol of team working. In fact, it's the 0 kilometer of the Eurocity. Here I show you how was the old Spanish Custom House before 2012 and our headquarters actually. The territory is integrated by 3 neighborhoods in a joint Eurocity. The main cities, Chávez and Berín, are 25 kilometers apart. And the Eurocity Chávez Berín was constituted as EGTC in 2013 after a long time working together to find ways of managing municipal services across the border. In 2015, we were awarded by the European Commission with the Regio Star in the category of City Star as the best cross-border integration experience in the EU. In 2017, we were designated as a good practice of cross-border cooperation by the Committee of the Regions. And nowadays, we are continuing boosting Eurocitizenship, that concept, increasing the sense of belonging to the Eurocity thanks to different initiatives on cross-border cooperation. Always with a vision based on the water talk principle. I mean, Chávez Berín EGTC has established itself as a laboratory for European integration, building capacity and trust, facilitating a change in the mindset of Euro citizens and promoting a long-term cooperation culture, making the border an opportunity. We are implementing a strategy focused on the 2030 horizon of joint development in several fields. I talk about tourism, the Eurocitizen card, culture and sport activities, common emergency management, environmental, business, healthcare, and last but not least, creating a public cross-border transport with cabotage to connect the main districts of the Eurocity. To be honest, in this area, the road has not been easy. At the beginning, we had to face many challenges to implement the cross-border transport service between 2 cities. To overcome the challenges, last year we received the B Solutions program in order to get legal and administrative solutions and also outline a specific roadmap to overcome the cross-border obstacles. So the help of the external expert made possible to identify the existing obstacles, as you are seeing on the slide, carry out a technical and legal analysis of the problem, and propose, and that is the most important, a roadmap for solving the obstacles in order to allow the service to start up. Thanks to the B-Solution support and to the Interreg program, together, the EUROCity Chatzivaryti GTC has implemented the roadmap proposed by the expert, launched project TUT. TUT is the acronym in Spanish Portuguese of cross-border urban transport. And in both projects, the GTC has been beneficiary of European funds. The TUT connects both cities across the border. As I said before, they are 25 kilometers apart, and we set up a stop on the border in the GTC headquarters. As I say, the 0 kilometer of the EuroCity. That is very symbolic. The TUT has allowed connect EuroCity and give access to the Euro citizens to a wide range of joint cultural, sport, and training activities on both sides of the border, even increasing the cross-border labor mobility, improving access to healthcare in the common territory, and promoting tourism. Last but not least, share the project with other twin cities or cross-border regions around Europe and in Latin America, as today we are doing. One of the main challenges was how to get the potential users, we invested in branding, creating the logo, the TUT, the brand, connected EuroCity, and the slogan, EuroCity is already connected, and you. We put it advertising on buses, and we created other promotional materials such as roll-out flyers, posters, and so on. We created a specific signs at each bus stop, and we have done color tickets in different colors, depending if they uses the bus from Portugal or from Spain, or if it's one-way or return ticket. And always, that is important and funny, including the fun fact that in the EuroCity, days last longer, because Portugal and Spain, as you know, are in different time zones. So if you cross the border, you will make time for yourself. That is an example of the territorial marketing that we are implementing. In terms of communication, we have promoted the TUT on several media and social networks. We have had some positive press, such as this headline in a Portuguese newspaper. It says, EuroCity already has public transport 25 hours per day. So you see how the territorial marketing is working now. Here are some other positive press headlines in Portuguese and Spanish newspaper. This is the day when we presented the project to the social media in our headquarters. We distributed on board an online evaluation surveys asking about our transport offer, safety, global service, and other information. As the probability of using the service again, reasons to travel to Chaves or Berín, or how often they travel, and so on. We got positive feedback, and it gives us important information to measure the potential use and demand for the service, and at the same time, analyze public opinion about the current service satisfaction. Here, I also want to share some Eurocitizen reviews, such as Rosa, who say the TUT makes her feel that she belongs to one single territory, or Joao, who says that thanks to the TUT, he can go to the Green City Market every week. In conclusion, sum up and answering the Cinzia questions, B-Solutions has greatly helped to link the cross-border cities of Chaves and Berín, fostering deeper territorial cooperation and social cohesion, while, and that is important, improving the quality of life of its citizens. Without a doubt, I think this kind of mini project made possible to solve existing obstacles in the border region with clear results on the ground and following to connect people across the border for a great European integration. This is all, guys. Thank you very much. And please don't hesitate in asking me any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pablo. I think it's a perfect complement to the explanations and questions posed by Cinzia, then the deep explanation on B-solutions by Ricardo. And then now you give us a clear and practical example. We remember how it was, now we see how it is. Well, this is really big satisfaction for all of us, but I have to say that this would not be possible only with B-solutions, the Commission and AEBR. We need also people on the ground who are able to identify, to test what are the needs of the citizens, because not always what the public authorities or the structures think is exactly what the citizens need. We have there are some trends to interpret what the citizens need. Here is clear. Remember all the surveys you have done, etc., and the testimonials. We are not talking about issues like closing health facilities in the area just before the pandemic, which is another story. But the transport, you know, it's the big issue, the big issue, the transport of passengers. You know, all these absurdities of the transport of sick people, the ambulance running and then stopping at the border waiting for the next ambulance, please. The taxis. Sometimes the taxis can cross the border, and in other borders they cannot cross at all. And all of them are within the single market. So well, but the public transport of citizens between cross-border areas, when we shift from thinking, is it an international service of 25 kilometers, but it is, as you say, cabotage or short distances, actually. It's, but still for many, this international transport, oh my God. Well, I think this could be another of the objectives of B-solutions, is that these projects are an inspiration for others. In other borders, perhaps they think that establishing a bus line is an international issue, whatever. No, it can be done. Look at Pablo and his colleagues at Chavez-Berín and other cases all over Europe, but there are still many missing links. Yesterday, we got from the Commission information that they still keep on trying to identify all these missing links. And then cases like Chavez-Berín would be a great inspiration. Thanks a lot, Pablo. And I don't say goodbye because we are in contact almost all the time. So see you later. Well, and now we will jump to Chema. Well, with Chema, we have been working so many years in so many things that, well, and particularly now in the last years, he's taking good care of the projects we are developing in Latin America, particularly. This is something I started 10 years ago with not too many support. And now I can say that I only jump from time to time when Chema asks me or he's sharing some information, because these projects are running very well and coordinated from Brussels. But I think it's much better than for me to explain it. It's for you to listen to Chema, what he has to share with us. So Chema, the floor is yours.
Hello, good morning, Martin. Good morning, everyone. I'm sharing my screen. I suppose you can see what I'm presenting. My idea right now would be to take the next 5 minutes to explain you why AEBR is operating outside European borders. And we do it through something that we call AEBR Global Initiative. That is to put together all the actions that we are supporting or are implementing in Latin America, in Africa, and in near Middle East, all together, coordinated by AEBR Secretariat with the support of our team in Brussels. The aim of this initiative is to promote bi-directional transfer of knowledge and best practices between these continents, and it's bi-directional because we know that we are not from Europe just transferring knowledge, but at the same time receiving knowledge from other areas. For instance, we have some very interesting experiences on cross-border cooperation in Brazil or in Uruguay river basins that we are trying also to learn from there. What is also interesting to know for you is that all these actions are funded by the European Union or some international donors or even by Latin American governments. So we are able to do some interesting things in Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East with the support of international organizations without any extra cost for AEBR. And at the same time, we are taking advantage of this funding also to support our own structure here in Europe, the AEBR staff and AEBR structure. As Martin said before, we are now celebrating 10 years of cooperation mainly with Latin America. It started 10 years ago, in 2010, and we started with the support of the European Union, mainly the Regio, designing and creating and developing mainly studies on cross-border cooperation in South America first, in Central America afterwards, and also in West Africa. You have here on the screen some of the examples of what we were doing at the very beginning of our work in our international relations approach. It's important to know that during the last 4, 5, 6 years, our level of, let's say, work, the amount of activities that we are developing is increasing a lot. We started with research and studies. During the last years, we have been promoting exchange of best practices, study visits with researchers and practitioners or local and regional authorities from Europe to Latin America and Latin America to Europe. And it is interesting. To know that not just, for instance, in Europe, Spanish or Portuguese or Italians are supporting us, and members are collaborating with us. But during the last 10 years, at least 35 AEBR members from all over Europe were in some way implicated in some of our activities. What we have been doing in the last years is mainly working in the identification of obstacles for cross-border cooperation in border areas, supporting and promoting capacity building, supporting and promoting the design of strategies and supporting the creation of cross-border structures in some border areas in Latin America. And now in this stage, we are also promoting concrete projects dealing with cross-border cooperation. Currently, in the last 2-3 years, till now, we are very active in some concrete areas in Latin America, mainly right now, because it's true that our activities in Middle East and in Africa were developed some years ago. Now we are very focused in Latin America, South America mainly. We are right now, since 2018, promoting technical assistance to Peru and to Bolivia, focused on the Titicaca Lake, that is border between Bolivia and Peru. Also promoting this exchange of best practices between Brazil, Argentina, and the European Union, or AEBR members. You can see here we started in 2013 with the first study visit to Alentejo and Extremadura, but I see that we have some colleagues connected right now, for instance, Pamina District, that welcomed some delegations of Brazil and Argentina at least 2 times. And I think that it's a good manner and a good way to collaborate, because we are not just transferring experiences on cross-border cooperation, but after 5, 6, 10 years, we have created a lot of links for a kind of transnational commercial cooperation or cultural cooperation. We are also right now supporting, I will give you some details in the next slides, we are right now also supporting cross-border governance in the Uruguay River Basin, and we are also right now cooperating with the support of the European Union through an initiative that is called INNOVAC, in order to promote innovation in border areas in 10 countries of Latin America. Just some interesting figures, for instance, in the Titicaca River, in the last 2 years, we have been training more than 150 representatives of local and regional and national authorities on cross-border cooperation. In Ecuador and Colombia border, that is one of our main, let's say, territorial locations, we have been working in the Pacific area. We are right now working with the support, for instance, of Pablo Rivera in the Pacific area, promoting capacity building and also developing with them cross-border cooperation structure, but also in the Andean area for the last 4 or 5 years. Right now, after 5 years of work, we have already trained more than 400 representatives of local and regional authorities, and we are working together with the local level, the provincial level, and the national levels with the Foreign Affairs Ministries of Colombia and Ecuador to design a model of cross-border governance for the whole border. That is quite interesting, taking the experience and considering the experience of some European structures. Thanks to the support of Extremadura, that is one of AEBR members, we have been supporting them, and at the same time, we received some study visits from people from Colombia and Ecuador in order to know how cross-border cooperation and cross-border governance are being developed in the European Union and the Spanish-Portuguese border. Considering the current project that we have right now in the Uruguay River basin, in the border Uruguay, Argentina, and Brazil, we promoted the designing of a cross-border cooperation strategy. We got the support, and we were supporting also ourselves, 60 representatives of national and local authorities. We continue doing that. For instance, next week, we have a high-level meeting for the exchange of knowledge and best practices, and EGTC Minho and some structures, cross-border structure of the Rhine River will be collaborating with the Uruguay River Basin structures in order to promote the exchange of knowledge. And finally, I would like to let you know, to present you 2 projects that were launched this year, 2020. In fact, this one, that is EUROsociAL project, was signed 3 days ago, so we are right now just starting. The EUROsociAL program is a program of the European Union aiming the promotion of the Euro-Latin American dialogue on public policies that is managed by a Spanish organization with the support from now on of AEBR, and we will be fostering and promoting capacity building, technical assistance, and we will be organizing activities, events, and studies in at least 8 or 10 countries in border areas of Latin America. And last project that I would like to present you, this is not Latin America, in fact, it's not linked to non-European countries because it's a 100% European project, but it is led by the European Association of Service Providers for Persons with Disabilities that is located in Brussels, in Belgium, and our team is also located here. We are from Brussels dealing with the Intellis project that is dealing with the promotion of skills for a technology enhanced of learning. We started this year, 2020. We will be finished in 2022. You can get more information through the link that is on your screen right now, but the idea is raising awareness about the importance of accessibility and developing digital skills in European regions for people with disabilities. We will be organizing in 2021 and 2022 some dissemination activities with some of our AEBR members. From my side, this is everything that I wanted to present. If you have any question, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chema. Yeah, it's true that there were too many projects to explain in short time, but I think it's important that our audience knows what we are doing in Latin America. There were many more things we could explain about the examples we have seen on this project of entrepreneurs between Argentina and Brazil, or the another initiatives we have done with other partners in Mexico related to migration and the vulnerable populations like LGTBI, for instance, which was very powerful meeting we had in Tijuana a couple of years ago, and so many things. On the other hand, I would like to stress this collaboration with ASPD to know more about the situation of handicapped people with disabilities. We already did a project with them on migration and handicapped, and now this Intellis, which is not exactly cross-border, but it's about a sector of the population which is not addressed in general. So then we have more projects. For instance, I remember we are now implementing InterVentures, where we are taking part as advisory body, and InterVentures is related to small and medium-sized enterprises. They are internationalization in cross-border territories, which is also very relevant. So there are many things that we are doing. And of course, we are open to give more information on demand because with this time it's not easy. Well, there were in the chat, there were some comments. Frederic Siebenhaar was also stressing the collaboration with some African partners in different moments. We have not been very systematic, but there are other organizations doing this. And then what we do is to try to cooperate with them regularly. But cross-border cooperation is becoming global. I was invited last year by the German Agency of Cooperation to visit a very interesting initiative between China, Russia, and North Korea, where they are involving also South Korea and Japan. And this is a very interesting process, very delicate. And they were very interested on knowing more. So probably whenever the pandemic is over, there will be some delegations from Far East coming to Europe to know more. Of course, everybody wants to come to Brussels and then to visit the Euroregions around. But I told them that they should also think of going to the north of Europe or perhaps to the south. Well, we'll see. Well, this is an overview of AEBR projects, which are very diverse, as you can see. I wonder if there is any question by the audience, and looking at the list, and I will ask our team if they identify anyone. Well, actually, Alfredo Marini has asked for the floor. So, Alfredo, the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning. I don't have any question. I want to say thank you to AEBR and to its Secretary General for the great job they are doing to implement cross-border cooperation. But first of all, for your engagement on young people. I am a European federalist and I'm convinced that to achieve this goal, we have first of all, we have to create, first of all, a common European citizenship. In my opinion, your job is very important. So it's very important. It's important that if we want a political union, we can focus our energy only talking about the reforms of the treaties. We have to create the European citizenship and the European citizen of today and tomorrow. I also want to share with you my beautiful experience in the Adriatic Ionian Euroregion as an IB volunteer. So thank you, because for me, your job is very, very important. And as a young European citizen, I want to fight to achieve a more integrated Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alfredo. This is at the end. This is the food that we are feed when the projects are okay for the host, but also are okay for those who are taking directly part. Thank you very much for your words. I think there are a lot of European federalists, and probably many that even they don't know they are in our audience. And it's really a big pleasure to see that the new generations are understanding very well what it was already defined 60 years ago by our grandpas. There is a lot of things to do, and what the mission of the current generations is to try to give you, the new ones, our experience, our knowledge, and to rely that you are a new generation which is more used to cross borders easily. So I think this is our future at the end of the day. Thank you very much. There was a comment by Natalie in the chat saying that it's very good to have all these projects around, but how can we turn them into useful and accessible knowledge? The capitalization of EU jargon. It's great that someone from the Commission is saying that, but this is the issue. Even we have the same problem in ABR, and this is the reason of this session. We are doing all these projects with all the impact in the association and in other fields, and sometimes it's not well understood, but perhaps because we are not able to produce the knowledge in the appropriate way. We are learning by doing. I think we are doing things every time a bit better, but it's very interesting. This I would like to ask the panelists if you want to say anything, or if you want to refer to this very interesting question about how to capitalize all the knowledge produced in these projects. Who wants to take the floor? Pablo, Cinzia, Chema, Ricardo?
I'm happy to give my opinion as well. I don't know if someone wants to do it first. Well, capitalization of the experience of IB volunteers. We have just seen it with Alfredo. Thanks, Alfredo, for intervening as well. It's about letting the opportunities to young people to also then have access to this knowledge. I think that the capitalization is the experience that these young people are making, and maybe finding also ways to introduce more and more young people in a structured way in cross-border cooperation, having more simply said jobs, simply said more cross-border institutions or instances where this passion can be used, can be capitalized in the sense of having a new generation of Europeans that can be involved more and more. As for the solution, well, we hope that the compendium that we've been producing is it helps in terms of capitalization. We have tried to, thanks also to the help of the Commission, clearly, we've tried to structurize the knowledge. We have shown in the most possible clear the experience of the various participants. We've been drawing some lessons learned, and we will continue to bring them in and disseminate them. We've also tried to, through our website of the solution, to inform about the experiences, the testimonials. So we're really trying to do communication. Of course, then, as Ricardo wants to take on this, we also need to keep on pushing the message, so that the message is not just about communication, but that it becomes also a policy, a political message to be brought further and further. We will, I suppose, try to do that, but it's not only ABR's job to do this. and I will leave the mic to someone else at this point. Thank you.
Yes, I don't know if any of the other panelists wants to say something, but I see that Natalie has asked for the floor. Ricardo, yes, please. Ricardo, please proceed.
Very short. Very short from my side. When we talk about capitalization, communication, and benefiting from all the knowledge learned, there is one very essential element not to be forgotten, is that we cannot do anything if we are only working from Brussels and from Berlin. All this capitalization needs to reach the regional authorities, local politicians, national politicians. In there, we need to have very active border region stakeholders sharing the messages and passing on the knowledge, because there's where the influence is made. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much. Natalie was asking for the floor. So yeah, please, Natalie. You are invited.
Thank you. Thank you, Martin. Can you just confirm that you can hear?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, good. Well, yes, I just wanted to complement my question in the chat about what are your plans in terms of capitalization? Because I can see that AEBR has really developed a very wide range of projects of different types, actually, but all focused, of course, on the cross-border territories. What I wanted to say was that, in a way, it's not that the Commission supports IV or the Commission supports B Solutions. It's the other way around. If I may remind everyone that we actually took the initiative of these two projects, and AEBR is supporting the Commission in implementing them. It's a little bit the other way around. I think it's important to remind us of that. When we looked for ways in which to implement IV and B Solutions in the best possible manner, in the most effective manner, we turned to AEBR quite naturally, because you are the Association of European Border Regions. And that, of course, gave you the mandate, I would say, to manage this. We could have gone for a consultancy. We could have gone for, people who are used to managing grants and small projects, but we actually went to you on purpose because of the added value that you can bring. So I think it's really important that you think about that now that the projects are running quite smoothly, both initiatives actually. And also I think it's the same for Central America and for Africa, for instance. For me, the question is, how do we make sure that we go beyond making sure that 500 young people can learn from their experience in Interreg and how they can contribute to Interreg projects and programs? How do we go beyond that? You mentioned the alumni, for instance. I would say this is something that is very interesting for us. You know that there is this youth manifesto in young people, and Jules, I don't know if he's around today, but participated in that. Yes. How do we make sure that we can not lose those 500 once they've completed their voluntary assignment? And the same on B-Solution. How do we go beyond having 43 at the moment individual fiches explaining what happened? You know, that for me, it's absolutely essential that as an organization with your members, you really think about your added value and how you can actually use that added value and turn it into this knowledge that can benefit others. I think this is really quite an important moment to do that. And I hope that Karl-Heinz is also listening to us to some extent, that he can push a little bit on how we do that and make sure that we are not just, you are not just a project management organization, but that you also then capitalize on your network and the political nature of your association as well. You are not just managing projects, you're also a political organization. So for me, it's really something that I would say should be on your agenda. It's not for me to say what should be on your agenda. Sorry, I apologize. I would like to see it on your agenda. Maybe I should phrase it like that. And happy to continue to discuss that with you. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much, Natalie. I think very interesting reflection. We are running out of the time, but Ricardo asked for a couple of words. So please, Ricardo, proceed.
Thank you, Martin. Just to add one detail, capitalization is also about putting things running. All the experience from B-Solutions is, from our perspective, a demonstration of what can be done, but now it can be done via Interreg programs. Interreg programs 21, 27, they are now programming, and they can build from the knowledge created with B-Solutions, similar pathways to solve obstacles there. So do not shy away from taking the knowledge that was already produced to shape your Interreg program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. I think this is very interesting food for thought, and even for us to proceed further. We have put the ideas of alumni association. Caitriona Mullan was also stressing that the Digital Europe will be a great catalyst for the consolidation and processing of knowledge from experience. This is the issue. And even young people are more used to work with these digital tools. So perhaps this is a way we can go forward. We are thinking also how we could do something similar on B-Solutions, a kind of alumni of B-Solutions, or involving them more, especially once the activity has been done, the compendium is published. We'd like to keep the contacts with them. Perhaps we have to discuss, Ricardo, how to keep on getting their feedback on the solutions, if they have been implemented or not, if they still need some support, if there are some people who have taken the idea and then they can perhaps unite forces, all these things. There are a lot of elements that our team will be happy to discuss. And looking if there is, the youth manifesto has been linked to the chat. I remember that our team in the Balkans also did a youth manifesto for the Balkans, and then perhaps we should make an effort to unite actions in this sense. Well, there are many elements. We are running out of the time. It's a pity, but as usual, when we are finishing a panel and we have the impression that we would have needed 1 or 2 hours more, this is a good sign. Imagine the other way around, when people are wow and things like this. So I really am very happy. I think it would be worth to think of organizing something like that, but in a more comprehensive manner. Perhaps we have to organize a forum on the role of projects to support cross-border cooperation, following more or less the structure of this panel, but into a formal forum. You know, as we can do a lot of things online and we don't need to pay venues, meals, and travels, our imagination is running all the time. But we have some people in the team that they cut me when I'm proposing too many things. But I think it would be worth to go. I can see there are people who would like to know more about the Latin American projects. They can get in contact with our team in Brussels and to know more about it, because we are always in need of experts. The question is language. You need to speak Spanish or Portuguese. Next year, we are starting a new phase with Africa, with Western Africa, through our good friend Agibou Diarra, and there will be opportunities for participation, and there English and French could be also right. Of course, if you speak Arabic or Swahili, you are very welcome. And well, Portuguese too. It's important in Africa. The B-Solutions still we have, I would like to end up here. B-Solutions fourth call is coming at the beginning of 2021. This is, for the time being, the last opportunity to take part. And if you win, you will be in the compendium. But also you will be in the first body of knowledge at European level about how to solve cross-border difficulties of a legal or administrative manner coming from the bottom, not identified at the top level. And I think this is a very important point. If you have doubts, if you want to know more about these solutions, you can visit the website. You can get in contact with our team in Berlin. If you don't have their contacts now, you can contact me or info@aebr.eu, and then we will shift it to them. Or, yeah, well, and in any other project, you can do the same. I'm really sorry that we don't have more time. There are 2 more comments. Okay. Well, then I thank you very much, especially the speakers, Ricardo, Chema, Cinzia, Pablo, Yo. It has been a pleasure to share this with you. The number of participants has only grown, has never gone down. I think this is one asset from you. Thank you very much. Thanks to the audience. And I would like to remind you that in 22 minutes at 11 o'clock, the last panel of this conference will start with various institutions who cooperate regularly with AEBR and the closing of the conference. By 12:30 Central European Time, we should be over. I thank you again. I wish you all the best and stay at your disposal should you need any further information or any comment. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ah.